Hello everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at the order by. And we're going to go ahead and go back into our database log. And I'm just going to do a select. I'm just going to do a simple select the top 1000 rows. Now, we had mentioned this earlier, we kind of touched on it. And I'm going to get rid of this top 100 because we don't need that. I don't want to confuse anybody just yet. So we'd kind of mentioned this before though, like where we have these log IDs, and you see how they kind of bounce around. They don't really go in order, which that can be confusing. So that's what we have the order by. So let's go ahead and do that. And the keyword for that is order by. And then I want to order by this log ID. I'm just going to drag that over. That's what I did. I just highlighted it and dragged it over. And now we're just going to go ahead and execute. So now what we're going to see is all of our records now are going to be displayed in order. And if we notice, 94 is 94, 95 is 95, so on and so forth. So you see how they all match. So let's say, okay, that's cool. I like that, like now that the records are matching by ID, but I want to order them by, let's say I want to order them by this event. So let's order them by the event instead. Let's just see what happens when we order them by the event. Okay, so originally we had the create table was the first record that was showing. Now we have alter table. So what happened here in our order by? So order by default will order them alphanumerically. In an ascending order. As you can see, they're going in that order. So let's say that we wanted them in descending order. So how do I order by in a descending order? DESC means descending. So let's do this. Now we've changed the order that they operate in. So let's say we just want to see what happens when we just do it by something that really virtually is all the same. Let's wipe that out. Let's do by database user. Let's see what happens there. I mean, it's all DBO, right? So nothing should change. And what we're going to get here is we're going to get that original query that we had, because it really doesn't have anything to order by on this because they all have that DBO. Now, let's say we want to do it by timestamp. Let's see what happens when we do it by the post time. We may or may not get any difference because this may already be ordering by that as well. Let's take a look. Oh, interesting. So when we did by post time, it ordered these just like it did with the ID. So what happened here is that every time an entry was created in this log, it went to the next number and so on and so forth. So that's why when we did this order by, it was the same as ordering by the log ID. Now, let's kind of mix this up a little bit. Let's see what happens when we try to order by multiple things. I believe it's either and or I think it's there we go. Yeah, comma. Get a little mixed up sometimes on those. All right, so we want to order by multiple things. So let's order by, let's not do the database ID. Let's do something, let's do event. So now we have two completely different things. Let's just see what happens. See how it orders them. So they're kind of in sequence here. Oh, now we're getting a little bit off sequence here. See how the event's no longer in sync? So what it did was is it took the first one, which was the post time, and organized it by that one first. And then it switched over to the other one. So that's why you kind of have records like this that could be kind of a bit of a gobbledygook a little bit, depending on your order by. So the first one always wins, and the order by. So we can switch that, and we should get, if we move these around, we should get a different result. So let's go up here just to kind of verify that. We know our first record is going to be number 1. That'll probably stay the same. So let's see what happens though. Oh, looky there. Now it's ordering by the event. So that's the primary one first that goes in the order now is the altered table, because that's the alphanumeric. So that's kind of the one that wins first in this order because it's the first one that we're ordering it by. And then we're reordering it if there's any out of sync based on the post time. So that can be a bit confusing. So generally when you do an order by, generally you probably only do it by 1 or maybe 2 things. Generally 1. And generally most people either order by a log ID or a time. It's generally how you order your data. However, you may run into scenarios where you may use multiple orders, or you may even want to use a thing called grouping. And we'll go into grouping later, but just know that there is a way to group these into like blocks.